The desolate stretch of highway seemed to swallow the headlights whole, leaving only a tunnel of illuminated asphalt, cutting through the oppressive darkness. John, weary from a long day's drive, squinted through the windshield, fighting the urge to succumb to his heavy eyelids. Suddenly, a flicker of movement on the shoulder caught his attention. A young woman, barely more than a girl, stood shivering in the biting wind, her thumb jutting out hopefully towards the endless road. John wasn't prone to picking up hitchhikers, especially not at this hour and in this desolate stretch of nowhere. But there was something about the girl's vulnerability, the way she hugged her thin jacket against the cold, that tugged at his conscience. With a sigh, he pulled over. As she slid into the passenger seat, a wave of cold air followed, carrying the faint scent of lavender and something else, indescribable, like old books and damp earth. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm Amy. I thought I was going to be stuck out here all night." "Where are you headed, Amy?" John asked, trying to ignore the uncanny chill that lingered. "Just down the road, a few miles past the old Miller farm," she replied, her gaze fixed on the passing darkness. They drove in relative silence, the only sound the hum of the engine and the occasional crackle of the radio. Amy seemed lost in thought, her eyes distant and haunted. John tried to engage her in conversation, but her answers were short, her demeanor closed off. As they neared the Miller farm, Amy suddenly spoke, her voice urgent. "Stop here, please. This is where I get off." John pulled over near a crumbling stone wall, barely visible in the darkness. He turned to say goodbye, but the seat beside him was empty. Amy was gone. Confused and slightly unnerved, John stepped out of the car, his eyes scanning the empty fields. "Amy?" he called out, his voice swallowed by the wind. There was no answer. He checked the back seat, even the trunk, but found nothing. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. A shiver ran down his spine as he climbed back into his car. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He decided to check the Miller farm, hoping to find some explanation for Amy's sudden disappearance. The farmhouse stood dark and abandoned, its windows like empty eyes staring out into the night. The air hung heavy with the smell of decay and neglect. John knocked on the front door, but only silence answered. He was about to turn away when he noticed a small, overgrown cemetery behind the house. Curiosity piqued. He made his way towards it. The headstones were weathered and worn, many of them tilted at odd angles. As he walked among them, his eyes fell upon a name that sent a jolt of recognition through him. Amy Miller. The date of death etched on the stone was over 50 years old. John stumbled back, his heart pounding in his chest. He remembered the scent in the car, the way Amy had seemed to fade into the darkness, and the chill that had lingered even after she was gone. A cold dread washed over him. He had just given a ride to a ghost. He fled the cemetery and the abandoned farm. The image of the headstone burned into his mind. He drove through the night, unable to escape the feeling of being watched, the memory of Amy's haunted eyes. He never picked up another hitchhiker, forever haunted by the tale of the vanishing girl on the open road. And that, dear viewers, is the chilling tale of the Vanishing Hitchhiker. If you enjoyed this journey into darkness, be sure to subscribe to Whispered Terrors for more terrifying stories and explorations into the unknown. Sweet dreams, or should I say, nightmares.